On the day I turned 26, Ethan disappeared. I didn't sleep for 3 days, searching for him everywhere. On the 4th day, he finally came home. He brushed everything off lightly and apologized, saying, "There was a problem with one of the overseas operations. I left in such a rush, I forgot to tell you." But it seemed Ethan forgot one thing. His WeChat was still logged in on the tablet at home. In the latest message, his buddy asked him, "Bro, you just went on a trip with Mia without even telling your girl? You know she'd be mad if she found out." And Ethan replied confidently, "There's no way. Anyone in this world might leave me, except for Emma. If I left her, she'd probably die." On the 3rd day after Ethan disappeared, I sat on the floor crying all night. Just as the sky started to lighten, I heard faint rustling sounds from the entryway. I jumped up. My eyes, dried out from crying, looked toward the door, and there he was, the man I'd been thinking about constantly for 3 sleepless nights, changing shoes at the entrance. Out of habit, I instinctively stepped forward, ready to help him take off his coat, and softly ask if he'd eaten, if he'd gotten any rest. But the memory of what I'd seen on the tablet moments earlier hit me like a wall, and I stopped dead in my tracks. "Emma, why are you just standing there?" he asked. While I was still frozen, Ethan walked right up to me. He reached out and gently rubbed my head, his voice warm as he said, "Sorry for making you worry. There was a problem with the overseas project. I had to leave in a hurry, and things got really complicated over there, so I didn't get the chance to contact you." "Really?" My throat tightened. I opened my mouth but couldn't get any words out. If what he said was true, then why did I see something completely different on the tablet? It was the 2nd day of his disappearance. After he'd been unreachable for over 48 hours, I went to the police. As I walked out of the station, a kind woman officer tried to comfort me, saying, "Don't panic. Try to recall if he mentioned any places he wanted to visit. Check his social media too, and see if he's posted anything strange lately." That's when I remembered the tablet at home. I rushed back as fast as I could. Sure enough, Ethan's WeChat was still logged in. The latest message was from 2 days ago, a conversation with his close friend Ryan. That's how I saw the exchange that cut straight through me. "Bro, you really took Mia to the UK without even letting Emma know? She'll be pissed if she finds out." "Took Mia to the UK." I froze. I stared at the screen. Then I saw Ethan, who used to call me babe nonstop when he was with me, respond with chilling indifference. "No way. Let me tell you something. Anyone in this world might leave me. Except for Emma. I protected her for 3 years. Since then, she's treated me like I'm her savior. If we ever broke up, she'd probably beg me to take her back." Ryan replied with a thumbs-up emoji. "Damn, man, you're on another level." I didn't even know how to describe what I felt after reading that. But my mind immediately latched onto the name, Mia. I pulled up her moments on my own phone and found nothing but a blank line. She had blocked me. But when I checked using Ethan's account, her feed was full of pictures, swimsuit photos at the beach, workout videos at the gym, and countless captions full of fake emotion and dramatic quotes. Her most recent post was from just an hour ago. "At the Heathrow terminal, watching the man I love walk away. These past 2 days have felt like a dream. Thank you for being with me. I love you. I'll love you forever." The photo was of a man's back, walking toward the gate at sunset, covered in travel dust. Even though it was just a silhouette, I recognized him immediately. It was Ethan, the man I had loved for 8 years. So that's how it is. I blinked my dry, sleepless eyes and looked up at the dim ceiling, thinking about how I'd spent the last 2 days searching every street corner like a madwoman. How ridiculous, like a clown. While I was losing my mind looking for him, I even went to his parents' house, people he barely got along with, only to be cruelly humiliated. He threw me out of the house, yet he was with my younger sister. They went to Cambridge, York, and Edinburgh, taking countless picture-perfect life moments, completely forgetting that I was the one who was supposed to be his girlfriend. Was it really because of work? I suddenly looked up and stared at his face, hoping to catch the smallest slip that would betray him. But there was nothing, no flicker, no hesitation. Ethan only paused the hand that was about to hug me, his expression turning slightly cold as he asked, "What do you mean?" Realizing that his tone was a bit harsh, he pulled me into his arms again, burying his head into the crook of my neck and clumsily changing the subject. Baby, I'm really tired. Can we talk later? Let's just get some rest for now. He dragged me into the bedroom, ignoring my resistance. The difference in strength between a man and a woman left me no choice. I was suddenly thrown onto the soft bed, my wrists pinned high above my head. Ethan's kisses rained down my eyes, my mouth, my collarbone. After a moment, he lifted his head, his eyes shining like a puppy trying to act cute. Baby, I really missed you these past 2 days. In that instant, I understood exactly what he wanted, and a wave of nausea surged from deep inside me. Was Mia not enough for him? But I was exhausted too, Ethan. Did you forget I searched for you for 3 days? Ethan froze. He looked down at me for a long time while I stared back at him calmly. I'm sorry. He finally gave in. He rolled off me and lay back on his side of the bed, burying himself under the blanket and mumbling, "All right." The Ethan who loves Emma more than anyone else in the world would never force her. But then, in the next moment, his tone completely shifted. He popped his head out from under the covers, his eyes curling with a smile. But your little pup has been working hard for 3 days. I need a hug full of love to recharge. Can I have one? I looked down, avoiding his eyes, and casually replied, "You're tired, right? Then go get some sleep. I'm gonna take a shower." Standing in the bathroom, I looked at my own reflection. My eyes were bloodshot, my lips pale and drained of color. My hair, untouched for 3 days, looked like a bird's nest. I had no strength left in me and collapsed to the floor. Images of Mia's photo posts, those intimate, loving pictures flashed through my mind like electric shocks. And finally, I broke. I cried uncontrollably. By the time I finished pulling myself together, it was already 8 p.m. Ethan was still sound asleep, but the moment I lay down on the bed, he instinctively moved toward me like an octopus, wrapping his arms tightly around me as if afraid I'd disappear. What exactly was Ethan thinking? I suddenly felt completely lost. When I woke up, it was already afternoon. The spot beside me was empty, only the wrinkled bedsheets showing someone had slept there. I stepped out of the bedroom and found a note on the dining table, the handwriting flowing elegantly. Baby, I went to the office. I left some millet porridge warming in the rice cooker. Don't forget to eat it. From your most favorite baby. Halfway through eating the porridge, I still couldn't figure out what Ethan really meant. I first met him in our freshman year of high school. That was the year I had just been brought home by the Song family. I had just found out that I was the long-lost older sister of Mia, who had gone missing as a child. The Song family didn't treat me badly. My father enrolled me in a private school, and my mother prepared all the daily necessities for me. But I had grown up in the countryside with my grandmother, raised in a world of feeding chickens and pigs. I had no idea how to interact with these rich kids, whose conversations were filled with brand names and vacations. My English was awkward and heavily accented, and without a teacher like Ms. Lee to polish my mannerisms, I always walked timidly, cautious with every step. It was only natural that I became an outcast. Mia, on the other hand, would always smile and joke with her friends. "You all better stop calling me a princess now. My sister was found after 15 years. She's the real lost princess from the people." Hearing that, her friends would burst into laughter. "Are you serious? She's so rough. How could she be a princess? You two are sisters, but your personalities are totally opposite. Honestly, I even doubt you're related by blood." Yeah, she's just so hard to like. In the beginning, no one dared say anything. After all, the Song family was one of the most prominent in the city. But the children of wealthy families seemed to be born with an instinct for reading people. At first, their parents still saw me as the long-lost daughter and treated me with some warmth because of the years I'd been missing. But it didn't take long for them to realize I was nothing like Mia. My personality wasn't charming or likable, so their warmth quickly cooled. Mia, on the other hand, was always enthusiastic, but there was never a genuine smile in her eyes when she looked at me. When the first classmate pointed at me and laughed, more and more followed. That day, I thought I was going to be humiliated again. But then, like a god descending from the heavens, Ethan appeared. "We're all classmates. Is this really necessary? Everyone's different. Why are you forcing her to act a certain way?" he said, standing protectively in front of me. I looked up cautiously at him. The sunlight was behind him, and I could only see the cold side of his face, but my heart pounded wildly. That was the moment I realized something undeniable. I had fallen for Ethan at first sight. From that day on, Ethan and I gradually got closer. He gave me a nickname, Little Quail. When he was expressionless, people kept their distance. But with me, he always smiled. Day after day, he was constantly by my side, teasing me. Little Quail, don't be scared. If someone talks trash, just clap back hard. Come on, give me a smile, will you? I became your knight in shining armor, and you still won't buy me a meal? Until the day we graduated high school, our whole class had gone out to celebrate. Everyone drank way too much. One by one, they were picked up by their parents. When my mom came, she didn't even look at me, she only took me home. In the end, only Ethan and I were left in the private room. In the quiet, I nudged him and asked softly, "Ethan, where are your parents?" He naturally leaned against my shoulder, mumbling drowsily, "They're always busy, I barely see them." It was the first time I had ever been so physically close to a guy, and my body stiffened. But Ethan leaned in even closer, his soft, fluffy hair brushing against the side of my neck as he unconsciously nuzzled me. He seemed to be murmuring something. I leaned in and heard him whisper, "I like you, Emma." His voice was youthful, clear, and warm. I froze and looked up, only to meet his eyes, full of a quiet smile. He wasn't drunk after all. But what could I do? I was already in love with him. Countless moments flashed through my mind, finally settling on that night, our graduation night, when he burst into tears after hearing me say, "I like you too." The bowl of millet porridge in front of me had gone completely cold. A warm wetness slid down my cheek. I instinctively reached up to touch my chin, only to feel a drop of cold, salty tear. So I had started crying. I knew I should have confronted Ethan yesterday. In a typical strong female lead drama, a betrayal like this would be met with a slap to the face, a dramatic breakup, and a boss girl moment of independence and success. But I just couldn't let go. The Ethan from the past had been so good to me. I couldn't forget that. I finished the cold porridge in one breath and made a silent decision in my heart. I would give him one more chance. After all, this was 8 years of love. "I'll love you for the rest of my life, Emma." He had once promised me with complete sincerity. Even if we were to break up, I wanted it to end with dignity. I rushed over to Ethan's company right away, but at the door of his office, I was stopped by a staffer named Chris. "Miss Emma, Mr. Ethan went out for a business meeting. You might want to come back a bit later." I frowned, and just then, a girl's sweet voice drifted out from inside the office. Chris's face instantly turned awkward. I pushed the door open. There she was, Mia, perfectly made up, smiling like a flower. She was clinging to Ethan's back, her arms wrapped around his neck, whispering something funny into his ear. I saw Ethan's face relax into a gentle smile, without even realizing it, but the moment shattered as soon as they heard the noise. Startled, Ethan instinctively pulled away from Mia. He quickly walked toward me, panic rising in his voice. "Emma, why are you here? I can explain. Just listen to me, please, let me explain." I instinctively took a half step back. For the first time, I realized I could no longer read him. This was the same man who made porridge for me this morning, who held me in his sleep as if he didn't want to let go. And yet, here he was now. But now, the one getting close to my younger sister in the office, was also him. "Can we talk now?" I tried to stay calm, but I couldn't stop the tremble in my voice. "Tell me exactly what happened during those 3 days you went missing." Before I could finish, Mia suddenly gasped dramatically and covered her mouth, pretending to be surprised. "Oh, so Big Sis didn't know Ethan took me to the UK during those 3 days?" "Mia?" Ethan's voice snapped sharply. She stomped her foot and, under his warning gaze, reluctantly left the office. "It's not what you think, Emma." Now that it was just the two of us, Ethan rubbed his temples, sounding tired. I wasn't the only one who went with Mia. Her birthday was coming up, and since she had just started working for our company, she was nervous and anxious. So I invited her and 2 of my friends to join me on a short trip to the UK. He paused, then added, "Besides, isn't Mia your biological sister? Even if something had happened, it definitely wouldn't be with her. Maybe you were just too stressed looking for me those 3 days. You didn't get enough rest." I stayed silent the entire time. Seeing that, his expression instantly shifted. He slumped into his chair, irritated. What else do you want me to say? Nothing happened between me and her. I know I disappeared for a few days and made you worry, but I came back, didn't I? I just didn't know how to explain it to you. You didn't know how to explain it to me? I let out a quiet laugh. He knew perfectly well how strained things were between Mia and me. He knew that ever since my grandmother passed away, he was the only person I had left in the world who truly understood me. Did he forget that Mia is my sister? That his birthday is also mine? I couldn't understand how he could say those words to me with such confidence. All I could feel was deep disappointment. On my birthday, I went to the bakery first thing in the morning to pick up the custom cake I had made for the both of us. I carried it home in the afternoon, only to find the house completely empty. I thought something had happened to him. I lost my mind searching for him. And all the while, he had just taken my own sister to the UK to celebrate her birthday. So what about me? My eyes welled with tears. I wiped them away quickly and looked directly at him. What am I to you, Ethan? I asked. I truly couldn't understand. We'd been together for 8 years, and somehow he had forgotten that day was my birthday too? When he saw the tears rolling down my face, Ethan panicked. He scrambled to grab a tissue and rushed over, trying to wipe them for me. I'm sorry, Emma. I've been so busy with work, I didn't remember. I turned my head away to avoid his hand. And in that moment, I felt something inside me quietly let go. On my way here, I had gone through 1,000 scenarios in my head. Deep down, some part of me still wanted to forgive Ethan. Our past had been beautiful. Back in college, he once searched the entire city just to find a blooming white magnolia bud, just because I said I liked it. When his parents found out about us and forced him to break up with me, he stood his ground and moved in with me instead. We built a warm little home together. But now, logic told me to believe what I had seen. The pictures weren't fake. His chat with Ryan wasn't fake. The fact that he went missing just to spend Mia's birthday with her wasn't fake either. It was like standing at the center of a scale. On one side, my urge to forgive him. On the other, everything reality had shown me. In the end, logic won. I steadied myself, looked Ethan in the eyes and said clearly, word by word, let's break up. What? Ethan looked stunned. His voice immediately rose. You want to break up? Are you kidding me? I kept my tone firm. Break up. He took a deep breath and let out a cold laugh. And who are you going to be with after you leave me? Don't forget, your grandmother is gone. No one in the Song family even wants you around. You don't have a single close friend. My hand clenched tightly around the strap of my purse. I suddenly remembered something I once read online. The ones who know you best are also the ones who know exactly how to hurt you. And it's true, the more intimate someone is with you, the more precisely they can press on your wounds. When did he become like this? Was this really Ethan? He heard me say I wanted to break up, and the first thing he did was rip open my deepest scars. He had become a stranger. I said nothing more. I turned and walked out of his company. The moment I got home, I called a moving service and began packing my things, alone. I took everything that belonged to me, the couple's mugs, the matching slippers. Only after packing it all, did I realize it all fit into just 2 suitcases. Ethan had been leaning against the doorframe the entire time. When he saw me dragging my suitcases toward the door, he extinguished his cigarette with a cold smirk. You're leaving just like that? He turned his head away, refusing to look at me. His tone was flat and businesslike. If you're going to leave, then make it clean. You've still got that painting hanging on the wall. Leaving it here. What do you want me to think about you every time I see it? Hoping I'll soften up and beg you to come back? Emma, he said, I'll let you throw your tantrum this once. Just put your stuff back, and I'll pretend you never said any of this. I took a deep breath and walked back to the bedroom. Ethan followed behind me step by step, muttering nonstop. That's more like it. No need to make such a big deal over something so small. His voice suddenly cut off, because I had already taken the painting off the wall. It was a bright, colorful oil painting. During my junior year internship, I had been under a lot of pressure. Ethan was the first to notice something was wrong and took me to see a doctor. I got a little better, but only just a little. His mouth had broken out with stress sores from worrying about me. Finally, on Ryan's suggestion, he took me to Inner Mongolia. We ran freely under the vast, endless sky. The layers of mountains were blanketed in rolling clouds, so vivid and beautiful it felt like another world. Those were the happiest 3 days of my life. When we got back, I rushed to capture that memory on canvas, painting the image I'd burned into my mind. Ethan hugged me tightly from behind while I painted, his voice full of affection. "Baby, this is amazing. If you ever become a professional painter, you'll be outstanding." I'd always loved painting. Raised by my grandmother in the countryside, I used to draw with stones and charcoal. After I returned to the Song family, I finally got real paint and brushes. But one day, a graduation gift from Mia mysteriously ended up stained with my paints. My father punished me without even listening to my explanation. My mother dismissed my passion for art as nonsense. The housekeeper threw away all of my supplies. Ethan was the only one who stood by me. He encouraged me, praised me. But now, standing behind me and staring at that same painting, he sneered coldly. "I never told you before, but your painting is actually pretty bad. The colors are way too loud. The proportions are all off too. You were all puffy back then, and you painted yourself this thin. You didn't look like that at all." I knew Ethan probably didn't mean to be cruel. He had always had a sharp tongue. But I had made up my mind, and I no longer wanted to love him. I picked up my suitcases and walked out. Behind me, Ethan shouted hysterically, "If you've got the guts to leave, then don't ever come back." I paused for a brief second, then silently answered him in my heart, "I won't." And I walked away without looking back. I didn't waste any time. I bought a plane ticket that same day. From the plane, I switched to a high-speed train, then to a regular one. Eventually, I arrived in the small coastal town I had grown up in. I was a local, more or less. My grandmother now rested here, buried in a tiny box beneath the earth. From now on, I would stay here, keeping her company. Even when I was with Ethan, I often took freelance art commissions online. I kept that work going. I also found a quiet, low-stress job nearby. For half a month, there was no word from Ethan. I was healing, on my own, until one night, I unexpectedly received a phone call. It was Ryan. His voice was frantic on the other end. "Sis, please come quick. Ethan's gotten into a fight with someone for no reason." I froze. That's when I realized Ethan probably hadn't told anyone that we'd broken up. So I calmly told Ryan, "If there's trouble, you can call the police. Let his parents handle the bail. He's their only child. They won't let him go to jail for starting a fight. We've been broken up for 2 weeks now. We won't be in contact anymore. Oh, and one more thing. Stop calling me sis. You watched him take Mia on that trip behind my back, and now you still have the nerve to call me that? I'm sorry, but I'll never understand the way people like you think. People have two sides, and from now on, don't call me again." I hung up the phone without hesitation. Still in a daze, I sat up in bed. I couldn't fall back asleep. Out of instinct, I opened Mia's Moments feed, and to my surprise, she had removed the block on me. The past 30 days of her posts were fully visible, and they were quite something. I scrolled through them one by one. There were photos of Ethan working seriously. Elegant dinner shots of the two of them. Pictures of them watching the sunrise together. I forced a smile. There it was, his new family, all nicely in place. Ethan didn't need me to take care of him. He was the proud son of the Liu family. Without that little bit of high school romance, I never would have had a place in his world anyway. It wasn't until dawn that I finally drifted off to sleep. When I woke up and got ready to go downstairs to buy groceries, I opened the door, only to find someone I hadn't expected squatting outside. Before I could react, he grabbed my wrist hard. Ethan's jaw was clenched as he glared at me. "Emma, you knew, didn't you? That's how you saw my chat with Ryan, right?" He paused, then seemed to reach a conclusion on his own. "It was the tablet, wasn't it? My WeChat was still logged in when I left. Since you knew, why didn't you just confront me? You were planning to break up with me all along, weren't you?" He must have guessed that Ryan's phone call was a bluff. I hadn't expected Ethan to actually come here, but from the exhaustion on his face, I realized he must have rushed over overnight. For a moment I was stunned. Then I quickly regained my composure. Looking at him calmly, I said, "That's not the point. The point is that you hid it from me." With that, I turned to shut the door. But before I could, He forced his way into the tiny apartment, eyes bloodshot, voice rough and unhinged. Baby, was I not rough enough last time? Let's try again, okay? He suddenly lifted me and threw me hard onto the bed. Seeing that he wasn't stopping, that he was climbing on top of me without any regard, the calm I had tried so hard to maintain finally shattered. I kicked at him wildly, my legs shaking. I grabbed whatever was within reach and started hurling it at him. My voice broke into a scream. Get out. Get the hell out. I hate you. You want me to call the police? You think I won't? This is assault. We're not together anymore. Adrenaline surged through me. In my panic, I grabbed our couple's glass cup and hurled it at him. It hit him with a loud crack. Blood immediately started dripping from Ethan's head. He finally stopped. He staggered backward, then collapsed and passed out. I hadn't expected to hit him that hard. In shock, I called 911. After a moment of hesitation, I also notified his family. What I didn't expect was that the first person to arrive wasn't Ethan's parents, it was my father. He stormed in, furious, and before I could speak, slapped me hard across the face. What the hell do you think you're doing? The Liu family and our company are in the middle of a crucial partnership, and you just had to mess it up, didn't you? I told you back then, the Liu family prefers your sister, not you, but you insisted on moving out with Ethan and living together. His words were like knives. After a deep breath, he added coldly, You can't do anything right. I'll pick someone for you to marry. Let Mia marry into the Liu family, and we'll pretend none of this ever happened. Why should I? I shouted instinctively. Why should I marry someone I don't even know? You barely raised me. You never really welcomed me home. What right do you have to control my life? I could never forget what happened during my first year back in the Song household. I had suggested going to the cemetery to pay respects to my grandmother. All three of them, my father, my mother, and Mia, showed identical expressions of disgust. She's dead already. What's the point of going to her grave? We've already had the best tombstone made. Isn't that enough? Stop being so clingy and sentimental. Mia laughed and added sweetly, She wasn't even your real grandma, was she? If you care so much about her, why don't you care about Mom and Dad instead? Hearing that, my parents praised her for being thoughtful and sensible. The way they looked at me changed, more impatient, more disappointed. From that day on, my relationship with them only grew colder. I didn't return home once throughout college. So no, I couldn't understand why my father thought he had the right to control me now. Yes, we were related by blood, but I didn't want to acknowledge him anymore. I'm still your father, he said. His voice rang out, sharp and forceful. He pointed at me and cursed. With that petty, low-class attitude of yours, how could the Liu family ever approve of you? The one I picked for you is the most suitable. I wanted to argue back, but before I could say anything, my vision went black, and I fainted. When I came to, the sky outside the window had already darkened. Several people were gathered in the hospital room. As I tried to sit up, Ethan stepped forward with red-rimmed eyes, grabbed my hand, and kissed it. Emma, do you know, you're having my baby. Thank God I stopped myself this morning. I've already proposed to your parents. From now on, let's start fresh, just the two of us. He continued talking, swearing to me with all sorts of promises, but I couldn't hear any of it clearly. My mind went blank. I looked down instinctively at my still flat stomach. Pregnant? How could I be pregnant? Before I could wrap my head around it, Mrs. Liu spoke. Her usual cold demeanor was replaced with an unusual softness. Good child. You're carrying our first grandchild. You need to take care of yourself. The doctor said your emotional stress is high, and you need to stay in bed to keep the baby safe. I looked around the room. My parents, Ethan's parents, and the man I had loved for 8 years were all here, their eyes fixed on my stomach, or more precisely on a baby whose gender no one even knew yet. I felt a wave of chaos flooding my chest. I used the excuse of needing rest to ask everyone to leave. The room finally returned to silence. Ethan too was sent away. I was overwhelmed. Was this really okay? Maybe Ethan really had changed. But the second I allowed that thought into my mind, I realized how ridiculous it was. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, intending to go for a walk to clear my head. That's when I got a message from Mia. Let's talk. I froze for a moment, then agreed. At a quiet cafe, she sat across from me, stirring her coffee slowly and deliberately. "Tell me, sis. Do you really think Ethan loves you?" She smiled faintly, her tone almost casual. "He saved you once, and you decided he was your savior. But Ethan and I grew up together. We know each other better than anyone. I can tell. He doesn't love you. He was just curious. That's all." As if afraid I didn't believe her, Mia leaned forward with a sweet, almost innocent tone. "Do you really think you're that special? Family background? Looks? I have all of that too." Then her expression shifted, her delicate face twisted into a cruel smile. "You don't even know, do you? The reason you went missing all those years ago? It was Ethan's fault. That day I wanted ice cream. You started whining that you wanted some too. Ethan was worried about me crossing the street, so he told the nanny to stay with me and took you to buy it. But then he got distracted for just a second, and you disappeared." My face went pale. She wasn't done. Watching my expression closely, she added slowly, word by word, "So now do you understand why Ethan defended you that day in school? It was guilt. Just guilt. He was only ever interested in you because you were new, something different. You're so pathetic. Do you really think he'd love someone like you?" Her voice sharpened. "I'm engaged to Ethan now. We're already planning it. If you have any self-awareness at all, back off." With that, she stood up lightly, grabbed her purse, and left the cafe without a second glance. Night fell. I sat there like a statue, frozen in place, until a staff member gently came over and apologized. "Miss, we're closing soon." I snapped out of it. Paid the bill. Got in a cab to go home. But the second I opened my front door, a figure leapt forward and threw his arms around me. Ethan's voice was choked with emotion. "Emma, I thought you didn't want me anymore." It had been a day full of blows. My head was spinning, thoughts tangled beyond repair. I brushed him off warily. "You should go. I need to rest." He didn't want to leave, but I pushed him out the door. I lay on the bed in silence for a long time, staring at the ceiling. Finally, I picked up my phone and made an appointment for an abortion. The procedure was scheduled for 3 days later. For the past 2 days, Ethan had been watching me closely. So closely that even his mother came to visit. She held my hand and gently insisted, "The wedding should happen before your pregnancy starts to show. Let's set it for 2 weeks from now." She glanced at Ethan, who stood beside her, full of enthusiasm and charm. Smiling, she praised, "You're so lucky. Ethan said he wants to handle every detail of the wedding himself." I forced a smile, but I couldn't feel anything. Why does being pregnant mean I have to get married? Why did everyone just assume I would say yes? But the truth was, I didn't love Ethan anymore. Finally, the day of the procedure came. Early that morning, I grabbed Ethan's hand and asked him to help me find a dress, like the one in a picture on my phone, something similar to a traditional wedding reception dress. But he focused on something else entirely. His eyes sparkled. "Baby, you're finally talking to me again. Don't worry, I promise, I'll make you the happiest bride in the world." I couldn't bring myself to smile. I looked long and hard at his face, those familiar eyebrows, that thin mouth, and I just couldn't understand how he could lie so well, how he could act so convincingly. All these years, I'd believed I went missing as a child because of some careless accident. But now Mia had told me that wasn't the case. It wasn't fate. It wasn't bad luck. I could have grown up safe and sound in the Song family. Maybe if I had, I wouldn't have become so cautious and withdrawn. Maybe I would have known what a mother's love or father's care actually felt like. And the man lying next to me for the past 8 years had known the truth all along. He'd hidden it from me, lied to me, lived with me. I never realized how good of an actor Ethan truly was. I thought about the times we laughed and joked while dating. Sometimes when I cooked in the kitchen, Ethan would sneak up behind me, being deliberately annoying. I'd get fed up and pinch his waist hard, and he'd dramatically double over, clutching his side. "Ah, it hurts, baby, it hurts so bad." I thought he really meant it, until I leaned in, concerned, and he'd grab me, pull me into his arms, and kiss me. He had always been good at pretending. That morning, I said to him, "Don't just talk. Go find me that dress. If even one thing is off, I'm not marrying you." I faked a temper. Ethan just laughed, rubbed my head, and happily ran off to get it ready. Once he left, I rested my hand on my stomach for a moment, then took a cab to the private hospital. After signing the paperwork, I was taken into the operating room. The harsh, bright surgical lights came on. My mind went blank. I felt something quietly slipping away from my body. In my dream, I saw a soft, sweet voice say, "Goodbye, Mommy." The procedure was over quickly. Holding my lower back for support, I walked out of the operating room. No one was waiting for me. I made it to the hospital entrance just as the anesthesia wore off. A cold wind blew through me like ice. My forehead broke into a sweat from the pain, but I gritted my teeth and made a call. I called my parents. "I want to see you," I said. "Just the two of you." Maybe they were concerned about my pregnancy, because they came quickly. We met at the same cafe as before. But something had changed. This time, it was me who had faced the storm and survived it. My mother stood stiff and upright, completely abandoning any facade of elegance. She pointed at me in disbelief. "What did you say? Say that again." I looked straight at her, my voice calm. "I had an abortion, so there's no need to go through with the wedding anymore." My father slammed the table. "Ridiculous," he roared. His chest heaved like he was about to have a heart attack. Of course, he wasn't worried about the toll the procedure had taken on my body. A man like him, sharp, selfish, and calculating, only cared about the unborn child. If the baby had been born, the Liu family would have given them more power, more profit. The Song family could have gained far more wealth than they had now. Watching his fury only made me feel even more certain I'd made the right choice. I was glad, grateful, I'd ended the pregnancy. I didn't even want to imagine how that child would be used by his own grandfather. My life had already been ruined. I didn't want the same fate for my child. After a while, when my father had calmed down a little, I muttered, "Well, fine, we can still go through with the wedding." "You still want to marry Ethan?" he snapped. "After what you did, killing the child, and you still have the nerve?" I lowered my gaze. My voice was quiet but steady. "Well, there's always Mia. She and Ethan grew up together, after all." It wasn't a good match. No matter what they had originally planned, when the wedding day came, Ethan would be standing there holding Mia's hand, exchanging rings and a kiss. At that point, even if he wanted to deny it, he wouldn't be able to. My father hesitated, then exchanged a glance with my mother. After a long pause, he finally agreed. "Fine," he said, "call Ethan in front of us." The wedding was set for 9 days later. When I was growing up, my grandmother had told me that in our hometown, there was a tradition: brides and grooms shouldn't see each other in the days leading up to the wedding. I decided to follow that custom. "Ethan," I told him over the phone, "you love me, right? Then you'll follow this tradition too, just like Grandma used to say." Ethan hesitated for a moment but quickly agreed. "Of course, I promise I will." My parents rushed off right after that to go inform Mia, without saying another word to me. If this had happened in the past, I probably would have felt secretly heartbroken. Maybe I would have complained to Ethan about it. But now, I didn't feel anything at all. Instead, I booked a last-minute group tour, packed 2 small bags, and set off for Lhasa. Though I took the train into Tibet, the altitude sickness hit me hard. A girl in my train compartment laughed as she took a photo of a bag of chips swelling from the air pressure. But I didn't find it funny. After the abortion, every bit of discomfort came rushing back to the surface. A warm-hearted woman from the Northeast noticed that I was unwell and constantly checked in on me. It was oddly touching. My own parents had never shown that kind of care for me. Yet a complete stranger was running around just to make sure I was okay. But everything seemed to fall into place the moment I saw the snow mountains. Under a bright blue sky, thick clouds floated gently, and beneath them were towering snow-covered peaks. No photo could do it justice. It was more magnificent than I had ever imagined. I instinctively pulled out my sketchbook. But halfway through the first lines, my hand froze. Ethan's voice came back to me, cutting, cruel. "I never said it before, but your paintings are actually terrible. The colors are too loud, and the figures are all wrong. You looked so bloated back then. How could you draw yourself so thin?" My hand trembled around the pencil. The memory of his disdainful expression, the contempt in his voice, came flooding back. For a moment, I believed it. I really believed that I was terrible. At painting, at everything. But just before I could spiral deeper, the warm-hearted woman leaned over to look at my sketch. Her eyes lit up and she gave me a big thumbs up. Girl, you're seriously talented. I could tell right away which mountain you were drawing. Are you a professional art teacher or something? You're amazing. I broke into a teary smile. Soon we arrived. Everyone in the tour group gathered for group photos. I smiled so hard my face almost cramped. That's when my phone buzzed. I looked down. It was a call from Ethan. Only then did I realize what day it was, his wedding day with Mia. I hadn't even remembered. I didn't answer the call, because by then the kind woman Miss Liu had already dragged me off to eat. Over the meal we chatted and I learned that she had gone through her own painful story. She had raised 2 children over 20 years of marriage, only to later find out that one of them was actually her husband's child with his first love. And yet, she wasn't bitter. She didn't complain. She divorced him cleanly, took her share of the assets, and chose to live freely. Despite altitude sickness making even a sip of water unbearable for me, I still smiled and gave her a thumbs up. You're the real heroine, I told her honestly. If it were me, I said, I probably would have just pretended not to know and gone on living as if nothing happened. We rested for a day, then resumed our travels. We visited the sacred snow mountain, Potala Palace, Jokhang Temple. One morning, we got up at 4 a.m. just to see the stars. We even dressed up in traditional Tibetan clothing for a photo shoot. The whole time, I felt like a little puppy tasting meat for the first time, excited, overwhelmed, my whole world expanding. When I received another video call from Ethan, it hit me. I hadn't thought about him in a while. Maybe that's what makes Lhasa so magical. The first time, I missed his call because Ms. Liu called me over. The second time, I declined it myself. And I have to admit something that still fills me with shame. Before I came to Lhasa, there had been a dark thought in my mind. I just had an abortion. My body was weak. I was struggling with altitude sickness. What if I didn't make it through? Would it be so bad? If I died, maybe I could see Grandma again. But 2 days ago, I spent an entire day exploring with Ms. Liu. I was exhausted and fell asleep the moment I hit the bed. And in my dream, I saw Grandma for the first time in years. She was still small and slightly hunched, her back bent as always. The moment I saw her, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I rushed forward and hugged Grandma tightly. I missed you so much, I choked out. Why haven't you come to visit me in my dreams even once, Grandma? I kept rambling for what felt like forever, pouring my heart out until finally I loosened my grip. Only then did I hear her sigh softly, a hint of disappointment in her voice. Silly girl, she said, you're not listening to me again. I told you to take care of your health, to make some friends, and to live your life well. Why haven't you done that? I had no words, nothing to say. In the end, I had to promise her over and over again before she was satisfied. Just as her figure began to fade, I woke up with a start. The sky outside was already light. I ignored Ethan's missed call and opened WeChat. That's when I saw a string of messages from Ryan. Sis, it was my fault before. Please just call me back. Ethan sensed something was off, so he pulled back the veil first, and only then did he realize the bride had been switched. He completely wrecked the wedding. The Liu and Song families are at war right now. The Liu family is demanding your parents bring you out. They're losing it. After all, they are your parents. You have to say something. The last message was a video clip. In the video, Ethan stood in a sleek suit beside the wedding officiant, his expression filled with anticipation. My father, looking composed, walked a veiled bride slowly toward Ethan. Guests clapped enthusiastically as the couple prepared to exchange rings. Just as Ethan was about to slide the ring onto the bride's finger, something changed in his expression. Suspicion flickered in his eyes. He pulled the veil back, and there, beneath the veil, wasn't the woman he'd dreamed of every night. It was Mia. His eyes widened. I knew something was off. Emma's hands have calluses from all the farm work she did as a kid. I glanced down at my hands. Sure enough, calloused and rough. But Ethan had forgotten one thing. Those calluses were thanks to him, because of all the reckless things he made me do when we were young. The video continued. Ethan turned to my father, voice sharp and demanding. Where's Emma? Why is Mia standing here? His voice rang through the venue. Guests were stunned. Whispers turned into panic. Mia leaned toward him, pleading in a small voice, Ethan, please don't embarrass me in front of all these people. No matter what's going on, Can we at least finish the ceremony first? But Ethan didn't budge. Where is Emma? He asked again. She's the one I was supposed to marry. Mia's expression twisted in frustration. She threw her bouquet to the ground and snapped. She doesn't want you anymore, okay? Haven't you figured it out by now? She knows everything about the past. She doesn't love you anymore. Ethan's face drained of color. He stumbled off the stage and fumbled for his phone, and that's when I realized. That was the call I got that day. The one I didn't answer. The video ended with Ethan running alone out of the wedding hall. The Liu family looked mortified. Later, the clip was leaked online. Even though the Liu family scrambled to do damage control, the footage had already spread. It sparked endless gossip and commentary. I watched the whole thing, gave a small shrug, and got ready to head out to meet Ms. Liu for lunch. But as I opened my front door, I was stopped by a figure slumped on the ground. It was Ethan. He looked nothing like the Ethan I used to know, disheveled, unshaven, hollow eyes. For once, he didn't rush to hug me. He just sat there, at a loss for what to do. His voice trembled. Emma, please, just hear me out. Let me explain. You have to believe me. It's not what you think, please. Just listen. For the first time, I felt something stronger than sadness. Disgust. The memory of our high school graduation, the tears, the hug, the whispered confession, still hovered in my mind. But now it all felt tainted. So fake. He had hidden so much from me, played the role of savior, slowly earned my trust, became my boyfriend. If I hadn't found out, would he have kept lying to me forever? It was terrifying. I took 2 steps forward. Under his stunned gaze, I raised both hands and slapped him, 1 strike on each cheek. I slapped him twice, hard. You honestly disgust me, I said, trembling. If you really felt guilty, then please, don't ever come back. Leave me alone. But what about our child? Ethan asked, still clinging on. I looked at him coldly. You think I'd keep that child? I scoffed. No way. Not even a little. I don't want to bring a single soul into this world who shares your blood. Just then, Ms. Liu woke up and opened the door. When she saw Ethan's disheveled figure standing outside, she was startled. She quickly pushed him away and shielded me with her body. Girl, is this man bothering you? She said, voice firm. Don't worry, I'll protect you. Miss Liu was 55 and still so full of energy, and for some reason I suddenly started crying, tears falling silently, uncontrollably. All the bottled-up pain came rushing out. After being found by the songs, I never really understood just how wealthy my biological family was. I had imagined they were ordinary, that maybe they'd been looking for me for years, but hadn't had the resources to find me. I believed they must have loved me, that they would protect me. But after meeting them, that dream shattered. For a long time, I thought I'd never know what a mother's love felt like. But maybe life really is full of surprises. Because now, suddenly, I could feel it. When she saw me crying, Miss Liu quickly wiped away my tears. I already called the police, she said gently. You don't have to be afraid anymore. That afternoon, I boarded the train back to Beijing. I never saw Ethan again. A full year passed before I heard from him. It happened not long after Miss Liu had been betrayed by her own children. They'd begged her to remarry, only to reveal that the son she had raised wasn't hers, but the product of her husband's first love. Heartbroken, she asked me to go out and drink with her. We cried until we couldn't anymore. Somehow, somewhere in that mess of pain, we became godmother and goddaughter. Then one day, Ethan messaged me. Emma, is there any chance for us? I was in Iceland at the time, staring at the sky, hoping for the aurora to appear. My visa was already approved, and deep down, a wave of cold resentment rose up. So I replied, no, there never will be. I hate you. I hate the songs. I hate everything. If you really want redemption, prove it with your actions, not your empty words. He didn't reply after that. Sweetheart, look up. Miss Liu called out suddenly. I instinctively looked toward the sky, just in time to see a streak of green aurora ripple across the heavens. It was breathtaking, absolutely beautiful. I silently wished my future could be just as beautiful. When I returned to China, I inevitably heard about the fallout between the Liu and Song families. Rumor had it that the Liu family was furious. Mr. Liu had immediately cut all business ties with the Songs. Other companies followed suit, isolating the Song family. Their company fell into crisis, and to survive, they were forced into an arranged marriage. Ironically, the groom they chose was the same one my father had once wanted me to marry. Wealthy. Only child. But a spoiled man-child, irresponsible and obsessed with partying. My mother went through with it anyway, swallowing the pain to marry Mia off. But even with the marriage, the song business kept crumbling. They could have survived, but then Ethan rose to power. Maybe my text messages really had an effect. Because once Ethan took over, he began attacking the Song family's businesses mercilessly. Even if it meant hurting his own company, he brought them down with him. The Liu and Song corporations were both bleeding. Even so, my parents kept messaging me. Mia messaged me too. "Emma, I'm sorry. Please, I beg you, go back to Ethan. He really loved you. My husband, he hits me. I swear I'll explain everything. Just come back." But I didn't need any more explanations. I quietly blocked all of them. My entire biological family. Next to me, Ms. Liu was already planning our next trip. "So," she asked cheerfully, "where to next?" I looked up at the sky. The sun was shining bright and golden. I hoped all my future days would be this clear. Ethan's POV. My name is Ethan. I made one huge mistake when I was young. I lost the Song family's daughter. That day I took the girls to the amusement park. Mia was being spoiled and didn't want to go. She begged the nanny to stay behind with her. I had no choice but to take Emma. She was obedient. Held my hand the whole time. But the moment I turned away to pay for something, just a second, she was gone. That day, I searched for her everywhere and couldn't find her. Panic overtook me. I ran back to the nanny, told her we had to call the police. But Emma had completely disappeared. My parents owed the Song family a huge favor because of that incident. It gave the Songs a powerful connection, and their influence skyrocketed. And me? I just wanted to find Emma again. Finally, after what felt like forever, she was found. Her skin wasn't as fair as before. She'd grown tall and thin. She didn't speak much. Even when she was bullied, she stayed silent. I was so frustrated. I wanted to shake her, but instead, I ran over and shielded her with my body. After those people left, I turned to her and saw those bright, obedient eyes. Originally, I had only come that day to apologize. But then, something else stirred inside me. I liked her and I thought, if she ever found out it was because of me that she suffered so much, she would never like me back. So I buried that truth deep down. I encouraged her, made her laugh, helped her open up. She started smiling again, started talking more, became lively and cheerful. I liked her. That realization hit me hard. At our high school graduation, I watched as her biological parents ignored her completely. I quietly texted my driver, told him to pick me up later. Then I leaned close to her, pretending to be tipsy, and whispered into her ear, "I like you." She blushed, looked away, wouldn't meet my eyes. So adorable, I thought. That meant we were together. I can't even describe how I felt when she said she liked me back. It was like a meteor smashing into Earth. My heart was bursting with joy. Things were perfect between us for a long time. She was sweet, and her eyes held only me. Later, my parents tried to force me to break up with her and pick Mia instead. The proper choice with a good family background and manners. No way. I refused immediately. They cut off my credit cards. So I gave Emma everything I had and told her it was okay. I'd stay by her side. That night, I swore to myself I would give her the best life, and I did. For a while, we were happy. Until it all started to fall apart. One day, Mia came to me and asked, "Does Emma know what really happened when she was little?" I panicked. I begged her not to say anything. Let me figure out how to tell her. I'll do it the right way. But Mia wouldn't let it go. Then take me to the UK for a few days. So I agreed. I forced a smile for every photo we took together. The day we flew back, I rushed home thinking, finally, I can see her again. But I had completely forgotten it was her birthday. During the trip, my mind was a mess. I didn't check the date. I didn't even open my calendar. Ryan messaged me on WeChat, and I didn't want to admit what I had done as a child. I brushed him off with some vague excuses. What I didn't know was that my WeChat was still logged in on the tablet at home. Emma saw everything. I didn't dare talk to her about the past. I kept dodging the subject, trying to keep things from falling apart. But the more I avoided it, the more distant she became. I could see it, feel it, every time she looked at me. The day she broke up with me, I said some terrible things. I didn't mean them. I didn't want to break up. I loved her. In the office that day, Mia had been leaning close to me, looking affectionate. But all she said was, If your fiancé found out what happened when she was a child, do you think she'd still marry you? That was the moment Emma walked in. She turned and left without saying a word. I tried to get her to remember our past, even brought up the painting she loved. I wanted her to recall how much we had been through, but instead, it backfired. It only reminded her of everything I had lied about. She tore the painting up and walked away. When I heard she was pregnant, I almost collapsed from joy, but I could see the light in her eyes fading more and more. She told me not to see her again, told me to stay away. I listened, and on the day of our wedding, I finally understood. She was gone. She had left. The bride standing next to me was Mia. When I looked at Mia's face, I felt physically sick. If only I had told Emma the truth sooner. It never would have come to this. It was my fault. I spent a fortune trying to track Emma down. I waited outside her hotel, hoping for a glimpse, for a chance to speak. But when that older woman asked who I was, and I heard Emma casually say, "Just someone unimportant," I knew. There was no going back. I returned home in silence and threw myself into the company. One step at a time, I began my revenge on the Song family. My mother said I had gone mad, and maybe she was right. I had gone mad. Maybe I had been wrong from the very beginning. Even after all that, Emma still sent me messages sometimes. She and that older woman, Miss Lou, had grown close. They traveled together, and sometimes she'd get little scrapes or bruises. She'd send me pictures of them. I knew she was doing it to provoke me, and it worked, every single time. Because I told myself, at least, she still thinks about me. The more I hurt the Songs, the more ruthless I became. Eventually, even Mia's husband's family got dragged into it. One day, during an argument, he shoved Mia in a fit of anger. She fell down the stairs and ended up in a coma, a living vegetable. Everything collapsed. My company went bankrupt. When I finally opened my phone again, I realized Emma hadn't sent me any photos in a long time. I hired someone to look into it. That's when I found out that she had once suffered from moderate depression, but had since fully recovered. That was why she used to send me pictures of her injuries, because back then, she still held on to pain. But once she healed, she didn't care anymore. Not about me. Not at all. My father told me to rebuild, to rise from the ashes. I didn't want to. I just wanted to live out the rest of my life quietly, peacefully. Just like I once told Emma. Still, on countless sleepless nights, when I looked up at the stars, all I could think about was the past. Ethan, you're so stupid. Do you like me? Do you love me? I love you too. I'll love you for the rest of my life. You're the most important person in the world to me. These memories circled endlessly in my mind, and they always stopped at the same moment, graduation night. Her face flushed, her eyes shy, but still she forced herself to look up at me and say, "Ethan, actually, I like you too." Maybe everything had been a mistake from the very beginning.